Val Demings made some big headlines, and deservedly so, with some of the answers that she elicited from Robert Mueller. Good to have you on Primetime, Congresswoman. Welcome.
Chris, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right, so help me understand. Is there an impeachment inquiry ongoing? And if so, why were you guys entertaining all of this pushing about when you're going to start it?
Well, that's a fair question, Chris. Look, I believe the chairman used the term impeachment investigation. We are trying to get the underlying evidence to support filing articles of impeachment, just like you would in any criminal investigation.
And
right?
That is the job. That is the job for the House.
Right. You could know who the, let's say, the suspect is. But if that person committed a murder, you want to also recover that weapon. Even if you had the supporting testimony, we need all of the evidence to support filing articles of impeachment.
100%.
And so Chairman Nadler, and you heard also what Speaker Pelosi had to say today, we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. And I tell you what, looking at the numbers of our members, although the decision to file articles of impeachment rests solely with the Judiciary Committee. You've seen more members from the House, Democratic members at least, have come out in favor. I think we're exactly where we hope to be at this point.
I hear it. Look, and I'm not a gotcha guy, but I'm just saying that your advantage here, or what you want as a perceived advantage, is being straight with the American people. Because the argument that you guys are saying you can make is that the president wasn't straight with the American people. That's why I'm coming at this, because you got Pelosi saying, hey, look, we're going to do this the right way, and we'll go into impeachment mode exactly when we have to, and not one day sooner. And then you have Nadler saying we're already in it. And an impeachment inquiry, look, as we've seen in the two previous impeachments, I don't need to tell you this, you're a student of the game, with Nixon and Clinton, you had the House vote to start the inquiry, then you went into committee in the Judiciary, and you worked up the investigation to see if you could bring charges, articles of impeachment. Are you just trying to avoid that vote here because it would be a tough whip at this point?
No, in the past, the House vote did move forward. But understand, Chris, that the House vote is not necessary to begin to file articles of impeachment. No, it's not necessary.
You're 100% right.
Yeah, and so let's look at what we do have. We had the man, Special Counsel Robert Mueller, come in and confirm really what I already knew and everyone who had read the report. But we do know the American people are just too busy to sit down and read a 488-page. He said Russia interfere with our election in a sweeping and systematic way. The president knew it. The president welcomed it. The president or his campaign leaders coordinated with Russia with polling data and other things, that the president engaged in numerous incidences of obstruction of justice, and the special counsel could not clear the president of wrongdoing.
Right, but on the intelligence side, Russian interference is a no-brainer for everybody but the president. He's only denying it for political purposes. But there was no criminal activity, no criminal coordination, no criminal conspiracy. That's what they mean when they say collusion, although that's not a legal term. I would argue there was collusion as a behavior. There was sneaky behavior, and they knew it was sneaky. That's why they lied about it, but not a crime. On the obstruction side, you get a complicated game. And I think that's why, Congresswoman, you have the poll numbers that you do, where you don't have 50% of this country saying impeach, because it seems muddy. And if it's not going to be a clear and convincing situation, then why not just hash it out in an election?
Well, and Chris, remember, when articles of impeachment were filed against President Nixon, only 19% of the American people were in favor.
Fair point.
We have a job to do. And look, I didn't come to Congress. I've been a police chief, 27 years, law enforcement. I didn't come to Congress to not take care of my responsibility. We have a direct responsibility to show the American people that nobody is above the law, up to and including the President of the United States.
100%
This is not a popularity game. This is not a popularity game. This is about us doing our job, which we intend to do.
I totally get that. One fair point of pushback. With Nixon, you didn't have the preceding year and a half plus of coverage in the Mueller probe that people were getting read into and understanding and all the reporting. You know, that only happened with the public hearings. So they only got that first exposure to it. And that's why you saw such a jump in public opinion, because they learned a lot of things. And they also had an actual felony. They had smoking gun tapes in that. It was different in terms of what we're dealing with now. So
I don't know. I mean, I hear what you're saying about the timeline on that, but And I know you're familiar with the Mueller report. If you read it, the president engaged in multiple instances of obstruction of justice. And so just like you've seen members of the House move in the, what I believe certainly is the right column, being in favor, I do believe that as the American people continue to digest the testimony yesterday, find out more and more about the report, hear from Attorney McGahn, because we're going to subpoena and require him to come and testify before.
If he comes and if he's forthcoming.
Well, and see the underlying evidence, I believe more of the American people will be with us as well.
Look, maybe so. I'm just saying I still think the currency is being straightforward. And even something like this seems a little bit of a dance, and the American people are so sensitive to subterfuge right now. The straighter you are, I think the better it is no matter what you guys do. But Congresswoman Val Demings, you're a straight shooter by coming on this show. I appreciate it and welcome you back.
Thank you. Have me back.
Be well.